It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this Thursday, the 22nd day of August. Another pretty nice day. I mean, a little warmer than it has been, but man, I mean, I just can't believe we're in like the low 80s and it's August, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So, look, we will talk about, what happened at the big Democrat Party last night in greater detail here. A lot of stuff to talk about. But let me just say that I'm shocked, stunned, and amazed, honestly, at the state of American politics, where we have a candidate for the Democrat Party who has never faced one primary voter. Since she became the presumptive nominee, she has not held one press conference. She has not done one sit-down interview. She has no platform that you can identify. You can't go anywhere and say, what does she believe in? What are the things that she stands for? There is no policy platform that she's established. You can't find it. Nowhere online does this exist. She's not explained to anyone why she now apparently holds positions that are 180 degrees different from the positions she held before. She's trying to convince everybody that she's this sort of moderate, centrist candidate, but we know that her record is anything but that. As a candidate, she's sort of like a ghost, sort of vaporous. We don't really know anything about her and what she's going to do and how she's going to govern. Oh, we get a nice little, we're gonna make sure that you can have affordable housing. How are you gonna do that? We never get the details. Oh, I'm gonna save you money at the grocery store. We're gonna put price controls. I would point out Soviet-era price controls, but we're going to be doing that kind. Don't worry, we're going to get you health care. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. It just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. And you know what? We don't know anything about how she intends to pay for any of this stuff. Anything, by the way, that she promises you depends on, what kind of Congress she has, because, the President of the United States has a lot of power, as we've seen with Joe Biden. A lot of executive authority stuff can be done, but you really can't pass substantial legislation if you don't have, Democrats in the House and Senate, and who knows how that's going to turn out. She's a candidate for office who has abandoned her past positions. She has not been held accountable, and yet, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the Democrats will nominate this woman to be their candidate for the presidency of the United States, and they got the giggles. They're so happy. They're just apoplectic about it. But we don't know a thing that she really stands for. Well, we've seen some of her past positions, but she claims she doesn't believe those things anymore. It's ridiculous what has happened, what the Democrats are doing. Here we go. From Breitbart. Kamala Harris to accept the nomination without giving a press conference and providing many policy details. Vice President Kamala Harris will accept the Democrats' nomination tonight without sitting for one interview, giving one press conference, or providing many policy details since joining the race 32 days ago. 32. It's been 32 days. Been a month, ladies and gentlemen. A month and a day or so. The strategy is notable for three reasons. First, it is a rinse and repeat of Joe Biden's 2020 basement strategy to avoid public scrutiny, which counters the multitude of exchanges the media typically conduct when presidential candidates enter races. Second, the strategy underscores the Democrats' perceived worry about their candidates' likability and ability to speak off the cuff about policies without delivering a devastating gaffe. Third, it spotlights the Harris campaign catch-22. Speaking about policies to fix crime, inflation, and border security would undermine the Biden-Harris administration claim of having solved those key issues. However, Harris must tout the administration's policy successes to validate her record and candidacy. They're out there talking about all the successes. Oh, the most amazing president in the history of presidents. Nancy Pelosi last night.
On January 20th, 2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times.
Really? Oh, it's the most successful of modern times. Open borders, inflation that rose to 9.1%. I can't even begin to list the things that are wrong, but according to Democrats, they believe this is the most. Well, if you tell a lie enough times, people will start to believe it, I suppose. The media have not interviewed Harris on television. Listen to this. This is amazing. The media have not interviewed Harris on television since June 24th of this year. The last time the press reportedly questioned her at a solo news conference was 8 months ago, December 2nd, 2023. For 32 days since joining the race, Harris has not given an unscripted press conference or a sit-down interview. But don't worry, folks. She's committed to do one interview by the end of the month, by August 31st. Boy, TikTok, Kamala, better get that going because, it's already the 22nd day of August. And you know what? The media are being disingenuous. I mean, on one hand, they criticize her for not holding press conferences, but then they report everything that she says in glowing and unquestioned terms. They just say, well, here, she's going to do this, and hey, she says she's going to do that, and hey, she's going to do this, and nobody ever asks, well, how can she do that? How's that going to work? How's she going to, put price controls into place? How is she going to do the things she says she's going to do? They don't ever ask the question why or how. When I was a practicing journalist, now I'm a journalist, one of a recovering journalist. I gave up on being a straight journalist and decided that I was going to give opinion because I'd done the other stuff for so long. But who? Okay, we know who, what, when, where. They're all good about that. They're not real good on the why or the how. Just as she's skating by. We don't know anything about this human being, about what she really would plan to do if the voters were to give her this election. What a state of affairs we have here. Kamala Harris to accept a presidential nomination on the final day of the Democrat convention. And last night we heard from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I'll play a little bit of that, and you can throw up a little bit in your mouth. President Bill Clinton, former President Clinton, was there. There was an appearance by Oprah Winfrey. It was a nice dog and pony show. If only we knew anything about what the Democrats truly stood for. It's a mess. And once again, she's going to be out there tonight. She's going to be, she's going to talk about all the things she's going to do. She's going to talk about all the things that she's going to accomplish and all the promises. She's going to make promise after promise after promise after promise. She's going to deny the things that she has stood for in the past. And we're just supposed to accept that and go, okay. It is a sad state of affairs. And let me just say this. If anybody out there listens to her tonight and actually believes that she is not going to be anything other than the most liberal president in the history of presidents, that this team of Harris and Walz is anything but the most liberal Democrat team that has ever run for the office of the presidency. There's nobody that even comes close And no way. I mean, you say Michael Dukakis, maybe, but not really. When you look back at what Michael Dukakis stood for, he looks like a moderate. He looks like maybe even a conservative compared to this woman. She's not going to fix the border. She wants the border to be wide open. She wants to find a pathway to citizenship for all of these people. She's not going to be able to fix the economy because she doesn't understand the economy. In fact, so far, the things that she has talked about doing would actually hurt the economy more than it would help. The economy is sort of bouncing back, which talks a little bit about the resilience of the economy. It is bouncing back in spite of the Biden-Harris policies, not because of them. And if we could just get out of the way, we would have an economy that would come roaring back in a very robust way. But no, we can't. We just can't. We have to impose all of this stuff, this nonsense, and because they're doing that, we end up with an economy that's in the toilet and still struggling. And by the way, that they've been lying about how many jobs are out there, how many jobs that they've made. They overstated it by 818,000 jobs. And so I don't understand. Somebody said to me one time, and it's a great statement, that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Democrats are sending us, another liberal leftist. I think you could easily call her a socialist nominee tonight. They're going to lay her out there as, the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everybody's going to ooh and ah, and the mainstream press, they're going to slobber all over it, and they're just going to love it, and they're going to get all this positive coverage, and there will be an afterglow and maybe a small bump of the convention, and the truth of the matter is, we don't know anything about this woman and her plan to lead this country. All they got out there, and the case they're going to make is, well, she's not Trump. So we stand by tonight, and we'll watch and see, what Kamala has to say. Oh, and tomorrow, believe me, I can't wait to pick it apart. I can't wait to take line by line by line the things she says and decimate her argument as to why she should be president of the United States. She hasn't made the argument. She just comes out, talks in platitudes, doesn't answer any questions, doesn't defend her record, doesn't explain why she's a flip-flopper. But tonight, that woman will be the Democrats' choice to be the next president of the United States. Oh, joy. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Hey, listen, at Grace Point Healthcare, it's a place to go for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medical care delivered the old-fashioned way. Listen, and maybe you've got kids that are getting ready to go out there and play sports. School is back. They do complete physicals for kids of all ages at Grace Point. If you're scheduling some kind of trip, maybe a vacation out of country, Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all international immunization protocols. And most importantly, because they will see you the same or next day, you don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. What good is it to have a doctor when they tell you, well, yeah, we can get you in 2 or 3 months? That's not the way it should work. How about, today or maybe tomorrow? That's what you get at Grace Point Healthcare. Affordable, comprehensive, convenient. Here, they're on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to schedule an appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Donald Trump visiting the U.S.-Mexico border today on his campaign trail in Arizona. Also, RFK Jr. expecting to spend his campaign and endorse Trump. Those stories coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's 24 past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. You got Jeff Melanoff back there doing the news, and today, Chris Weber in the control room, as always, pushing the blinky buttons, making sure that things go smoothly. Very busy day, Chris, today. I was, I decided that I was going to go out and do some yard work this morning, and so...
Good morning to do it, I think.
Yeah, the weather was beautiful, so I got out there and did a lot of yard work and was clearing some brush and all that kind of stuff. And then I got a call that said, hey, do you know what's going on at the local schools? And apparently this morning it was very much in the news that there had been some threats called into various schools around the area. One of them was in Watertown, so I decided, well, I live in Watertown. It's not that far, to go down and check out the school. It's like, you can drive from one end of Watertown to the other in about a minute and a half. Yeah. So I went over to look at the elementary school. And parents would be glad to know that apparently the Wilson County Sheriff and the local police really responded in a big way. And the elementary school had, 2-3 squad cars out in front of it, or, they're not squad cars anymore. They're squad SUVs. But one way or the other, there was a very heavy police presence at the elementary school and at the middle school, and I understand also at the high school. And so, I was sort of relieved to see that. Thought that, that's a relief to parents. That's a good thing. Turns out, I think most of these things are not thought to be serious, but you never know.
That's right. Yeah.
You've got to take them. You got to take them seriously. And so a great response by law enforcement. And Watertown was not the only one. There were others as well. Very much reported this morning in the news. Then I decided, well, I'm out of gas. I better get some gas. I did the stupidest thing, Chris, I have laughed at people who do this. I have mocked people who did this. So, I'm low on gas. I start the gas pump. I go into the little supermarket deli, store that, everything in Watertown. It's not just one thing. It's a gas station. It's a grocery store. It's a deli. It's everything, Yeah. So I go down there and I get some stuff, and I'm getting some stuff for lunch, and I come out, jump in the truck, and I drive off without taking the gas pump out of and I yanked that sucker off. I broke it. I broke the gas pump. And of course, I heard it and I went, "Oh, you idiot. What did you just do?" I felt so dumb. And so, I had to go in and say, "Hey, we got a little problem. I tore up your gas pump."
A little problem.
And I know the people who own the grocery store quite well. They're friends. They've been over to the house, that kind of thing. So I went in, but they weren't there. And I said, I did the stupidest thing. So they had to go back out there, and it's dripping gas, and they're trying to apparently there's a breakaway connection.
Yeah, that's true.
I am told, and it makes me feel a little better. This happens, a lot. That I'm not the only person who's ever done it.
Yeah, they're just trying to make you feel better.
That doesn't make me feel any better at all. I felt like what a dope.
I've watched several of those videos, people driving off and yanking the hose out. I'm thinking, what an idiot.
Yeah, it's got a little breakaway connection. It's designed to break away because I guess people do this all the time. So anyway,
better to do that than snatching the gas pump out of the ground.
So I called the guy who owns the grocery store, and I said, "Look, it's my fault, and I did it. If for some reason it doesn't go back together, let me know." And so far he hasn't called me, so I assume they got the pump back up and running. But you just feel stupid, like, the guy's trying to put it back together, and I'm just standing there saying, I feel dumb. Is there anything I can do to help? And there's nothing you can do to help.
Right.
It's a one-man job, and you got to know what you're doing. And, they obviously they have done it before, but man alive. Just...
You never thought you'd be that guy, did you?
I never thought that I'd be the guy that did that. I guess I was a little tired from working in the yard, and I was just, thinking about the thing at the school, and, I was starting to put my head into, the planning of the show, and I just jumped in the car, put it in drive, and I drove off, and that sucker just popped. Oof. I know.
No damage to your vehicle, though.
No,
right?
no, not that I can tell.
Right.
The Ford truck F-150 is doing fine, but you look and you get out of the car, and there is that pump handle still in,
just dangling,
dangling this dangling hose, and then you look and over there at the gas pump, the hose comes down about halfway, and it just stops, and it's sort of dripping gas, which of course makes a big mess. I don't know. I felt pretty dumb, but I hope Kevin has forgiven me.
You're not going to be allowed to get gas there anymore. They're going to see you coming, and they're like, nah.
I used to be a fairly smooth operator. I used to think that, I get through life, and I get through life pretty well without too many, disasters. I don't know what's happening as I get older. Things like this, that you would never have done when you were younger. I don't know. I don't know why it is that as you get older, you start doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just a little more forgetful, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. Just, your head's in a different place. You're not thinking about what you were doing, and next thing you know, you've destroyed a gas pump.
You at least look at the bright side. At least you didn't grab the diesel nozzle by accident.
Yeah. No, I've seen people do that, too.
That would have been even worse, yeah. I'm guilty. I actually did that as a child. My grandfather owned a service station, and we had a little person in a Volkswagen Rabbit pull up.
And they run on
Volkswagen Rabbit. This car's not a diesel, but it was. I did not know that at the time, and filled her up with unleaded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were not happy with me.
Well, what did you have to do? Did you have to then
drop the tank,
pop the tank, and drain it?
Yep.
I remember one time as a kid, somebody came to our neighborhood. My dad and I were out front yard, and it was just, unbelievable amounts of smoke coming out of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped, and my dad knew the guy, and he said, "What's up with your car?" And he said, "Filled it up with diesel." And now he's just driving around trying to burn it out of the tank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently it doesn't. I've heard it doesn't hurt it.
If you put diesel in a gasoline engine, it's not great for it, but yeah, it's not going to destroy anything. But if you put gasoline in a diesel engine, that's a whole different story. That is no bueno.
On behalf of everyone who's within the sound of my voice, let me give you a pro tip. When you fill up the gas tank, remember to take the hose and put it back.
Yes.
Don't be me. 31 past the hour.
It's 3:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's sunny, 86 degrees. The forecast and traffic report is on the way. Election 2024 news. Donald Trump is in Arizona today at the U.S.-Mexico border speaking about his political opponents and the Border Patrol.
These are courageous people. They're fighting for the country. They're fighting against these radical left lunatics that are destroying our country.
Trump also talked about Kamala Harris and her plans for the border.
She will never build the wall. She doesn't want to build the wall. She's only saying if she changes her mind, it's only because she wants to get elected, because who wouldn't want to have a strong border?
Also in election news, Robert Kennedy Jr., who is running for president as an independent, is rumored to be suspending his campaign as early as tomorrow and endorse Donald Trump for the presidency. Here's ABC's Jonathan Carl.
Sources tell ABC News that Robert Kennedy Jr., a lifelong Democrat turned independent candidate for president, plans to pull the plug on his campaign and endorse Donald Trump. His running mate teasing a major announcement Friday.
News in Nashville, the BNA announced Southwest Airlines has expanded its air service with 3 nonstop routes. Indianapolis, Cabo, Mexico, and Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic are now new nonstop flights you can take from Nashville. The airport says it's the step forward in its commitment to offering travel and more international and nonstop options. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Well, I'm feeling a little better because apparently people on the Members Nutrition Super Text line are saying that they have done the same thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised. We've gotten quite a few that say they have done it as well.
Really?
One, and I won't even mention the last four of the number on this one, but it says, I was a cop for 6 years, filled up at our city pumps, got back in the car to work on reports, got a call and forgot I was fueling, drove off and forgot to pull it out. And the rest is history.
I mean, there I am standing there in the parking lot holding a gas pump in my hand, and, just a dangling hose gas pump. And everybody, of course, all the other bays are filled up with people who are doing it perfectly the correct way.
Yeah.
And they said, "What did you do?" I said, I was dumb is what I was. You have to go in and confess. That was the hardest part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
I messed up your gas pump, man.
Did you walk in holding the pump handle in hand?
I left it out there.
Okay,
I put it on the ground next to the pump. But can you imagine somebody pulling up and what is this?
What happened here?
What happened here? So anyway, it was just I was red faced and embarrassed. And by the way, now I smell like gasoline because I got it all over me.
Yeah, that'll happen. I bet you won't. I bet you won't go.
I will never do that again.
Go inside while the gas is pumping again.
Well, apparently you're not really supposed to do that. Everybody does. I mean, you go to the 7-Eleven and you fill up and you go in to get a Slurpee or something. Everybody does that. Mm-hmm. But
not everybody. But
well, I mean, I guess
I don't do that.
There are rule followers who would never do that. But anyway, I did that. So Donald Trump was down on the border in Arizona today. And he was doing a press availability, but as always, he starts off with some comments, and there is a little thing going on at the same time. There is a manhunt underway in Arizona for a suspect who had threatened to kill former President Trump. ahead of a rally in. There's going to be a rally there, I guess, later today. The Cochise County Sheriff's Office identified the suspect as a man by the name of Ronald Lee Searwood, 66 years old. So they're apparently, I don't know, we don't know a lot more about it. He has outstanding warrants from the state of Wisconsin for DUI, failure to appear for DUI, Arizona for hit and run, and felony failure to register as a sex offender. Nice guy. Sheriff's Office, he was an absconder, and they've been looking for him anyway, but apparently somehow this individual has been identified as someone who made a threat against President Trump's life. And, of course, this comes after the thing in Butler, Pennsylvania. So he was there. I wish I could tell you that I thought it was a brilliant performance by Donald Trump today, but I listened for about 15 minutes, and it was very hard to find a nice clip there where I thought, he was just sort of meandering all over the place.
Incredible. We're here today on the southern border in Arizona where Comrade Kamala Harris, I call her comrade because she is a radical left Marxist. She wants open borders. She wants our country. I don't understand why anybody would want it, but she wants our country to be open to the world's criminals so they can come in and rape and pillage and do whatever they have to do. But she's the most radical left person who has ever run for high political office in our country's history. And by the way, the governor, who's done a poor job as governor, Minnesota, Walz, he's done a poor job, very poor job. His numbers are horrible. People are fleeing his state. I love his state. We should have won his state twice, but a lot of hanky-panky goes on there. Hasn't been won since 1972. Richard Nixon was the last one to win it. But every time I go in there, we have massive crowds and everything's good, but nobody seems to be able to win it. So I know why we didn't win it. People don't like to talk about it. But he's a horrible governor, has bad job numbers, bad numbers for leaving, a lot of people leaving the state.
And that's about how it went for about 20 minutes. So he started with the border, then he moved on to Comrade Kamala, then he started talking about Walz being a horrible governor. I think there was a Richard Nixon mention in that. And he didn't come back to the border. I mean, the thing is you've got this wonderful backdrop, and you've got a great issue, because we know that Americans feel very passionately about the disorder at the border, and so you got this wonderful opportunity to showcase how when I was here. And by the way, in the backdrop is all of the metal that got put on hold, that was stacked up, beyond measure to complete the border wall. And of course, when Biden came in, they just shut it down and sold a bunch of it for pennies on the dollar. And a wonderful story there, a great storyline to sort of reinforce how we had the border under control, and then it just went to hell as soon as they got in office. And it's slowed down now, but we all know why. There's a lot of things you could have done with that, but with the press assembled and everybody watching and cable news carrying it live, wonderful points to be made and a real missed opportunity. I think he eventually did get back on target, but it just, the meandering, I don't mean to be critical. Well, I do mean to be critical. The meandering has got to stop. He's got to be more focused and disciplined about his messaging. And he had a speech in a book, but, apparently it was a guideline that he did not follow. But one way or the other, he's in Arizona today, got a big event tonight, and there's supposed to be some stuff going on there with the RFK tonight or tomorrow. I don't know when. RFK is said to be ready to drop out and endorse Trump, and if he does that, that would give, could potentially give Trump somewhere between 3 and 5 points if the people who follow RFK take the advice of RFK Jr. and decide to follow Trump. Could really work out well for him. So we'll be watching all of that. They're still investigating the assassination attempt against Trump in Butler County, Pennsylvania, where, by the way, he's going to go back there and give a speech in the same venue He feels like I didn't get to finish my speech, and I'm going to do that. And they're going to, of course, put up the bulletproof glass this time. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure that metal corrugated building is going to be inside the perimeter this time. What do you want to bet? Anyway, they're trying to get some more information about these encrypted messaging accounts. There's been some misunderstanding about this. When we first had the event, somebody said, one law enforcement official said, yeah, he's got all these foreign accounts. And a lot of people took that to mean bank accounts. Well, why would a 19-year-old kid who works at a healthcare facility for elderly people need overseas banking accounts? Turns out they're not bank accounts at all. They are messaging accounts. From the Daily Wire. The 20-year-old man who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump used encrypted messaging accounts on platforms in multiple foreign countries, according to Representative Mike Waltz, Republican of Florida. Waltz, who's on the congressional task force investigating the assassination attempt, told reporters in Chicago on Wednesday that it has not learned that much about Thomas Matthew Crook's encrypted messaging accounts, but he did reveal that they discovered the accounts were based on platforms in Belgium, Germany, and New Zealand, which the congressman described as strange. The New York Post reported encrypted messaging apps allow for text messages to be sent through an encrypted code that can only be deciphered by the recipient's device. Why does a 19-year-old kid who works as a healthcare aide need encrypted platforms, not even based in the United States, but based abroad, where most terrorist organizations know it's harder for our law enforcement to get info? That's a question I've had since day one, Waltz told reporters at the Trump Hotel in downtown Chicago. And I think it's a fair question, but I just sort of want to clean that up, because a lot of people said, well, foreign accounts. Well, who was putting money in his bank? They weren't bank accounts. It's a messaging app. And another story on it from Fox News. Trump shooter had multiple encrypted accounts overseas, including Germany. One reporter asked Congressman Waltz what he and other members of the task force had learned, and he said, we haven't learned a lot. We still haven't learned much. We do know that they were in, if I get this correctly, Belgium, New Zealand, and Germany. They need to be releasing information. He's not happy with the FBI and the Secret Service as it goes on. We don't talk about it on a daily basis, but there are ongoing investigations into this matter. And he seems to be frustrated that the FBI and the DHS are not doing what they should to share information about that. And in fact, I've got another story on that from The Blaze, quoting Senators Chuck Grassley and U.S. Representative Barry Loudermilk. They're rapping the DHS for not cooperating with the Office of Inspector General and insisting on heavy redactions to a report issued by DHS Inspector General Joseph V. Kufari. Now, this was something that was done by the Inspector General looking at the Secret Service and other things at the Department of Homeland Security in the wake of January 6th. And the report was very critical of the Secret Service for not doing certain things. For one thing, they walked Kamala Harris, who was then the vice president-elect, right past a pipe bomb outside the Democrat National Committee's office. And, we've never heard much more about that pipe bomb, but it was there. And apparently, I think it was thought to be a pipe bomb that could have actually exploded. It was a viable pipe bomb. And so, but this report heavily redacted, and they're trying to get the information about that, and they're not getting much help from the Department of Homeland Security or the Biden administration. Said Grassley and Loudermilk in a statement, I'm very concerned that the department would interfere at all regarding information that the OIG provides to Congress or what information the OIG can obtain during its investigation. The OIG has an independent reporting relationship to Congress. Under no circumstance should the Secretary interfere with the Inspector General's work. Why can't we know? Why can't we know this? There are valid concerns, and maybe they don't want to release it for security purposes, but they can certainly release it to a sitting senator who is investigating the matter. 50 minutes now past the hour.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
J.D. Vance campaigning in Georgia with his sights set on Tim Walz. Also, New York City parks worker charged with a murder of a migrant. Those stories and more coming up at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, let's take a look at the markets right now. Dow Jones Industrials ended the day down about 177 points. S&P down 50. NASDAQ down about 300 points. That's more than 1.5%. What's driving this dip in the market? Well, let's check in with Ty Draper over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, Ty.
Yeah, hey, Brian. All eyes are on the Fed this week as Jerome Powell delivers his remarks tomorrow in Jackson Hole. The market started today's trading flat as a funnel cake, but gained downward momentum later in the day, resulting in losses across all the indexes, but gains in 10-year Treasury. The market feels quite certain of a September rate drop, but uncertain as to the size of the decrease. In real estate numbers, July home sales snapped a 4-month losing streak as lower interest rates lured buyers off the sidelines. Will rates continue to go lower? And if so, how much longer? Tune in tomorrow for the reports from Jackson Hole.
All right. Thank you very much. Listen, it is 58 minutes now past the hour. By the way, find out what Ty Draper, John Maxton, and all the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Go to their website, askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's sunny out, 86 degrees. A complete forecast and traffic report in 5 minutes. Election 2024 news. J.D. Vance, the Republican vice presidential candidate, is on the campaign trail in Georgia with shots being fired at his opposition, the vice president candidate on the Democrat ticket, Tim Walz.
Senator J.D. Vance in rural southern Georgia taking swipes at Governor Tim Walz after his big speech at the Democratic National Convention.
I will say I appreciate the Democrats not being able to keep anything on time, because I think by the time that he spoke, everybody in the state of Georgia was already in bed.
Walz taking the stage in Chicago after 11 p.m. Eastern.
And if you weren't asleep at the beginning of the speech, you were sure as hell asleep by the end of the speech. Ain't that right?
Vance blaming Harris for the issues at the southern border.
It's time to fire Kamala Harris, not to give her a promotion.
Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
Senator Vance also discussed about how drugs are affecting rural Americans.
Rural America has been affected by this terrible poison the drug cartels are bringing in as much as anybody. We have got to close down the border and stop the cartels from bringing this poison into our communities.
In New York, charges are filed against a New York City park worker in the murder of a Venezuelan migrant. ABC's Derek Danis reports.
23-year-old Elijah Mitchell of Queens, New York, is charged with murder as a hate crime for the shooting death of 30-year-old Rodriguez Marcano, a migrant living in the city from Venezuela. Authorities say Mitchell was a temporary park employee who got into an argument with Marcano 3 days prior to the shooting as he was sleeping on a park bench. Prosecutors say Mitchell went back to Marcano to, quote, settle the score and allegedly shot him in the chest, killing him. If convicted, Mitchell faces between 25 years to life in prison. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
News in Nashville, a Williamson County family is suing the County Board of Education after their son allegedly made threats of mass violence at school. The family claims their teenage son was falsely accused and prosecuted. The teen was a junior at Independence High School in 2023 when he was arrested. According to court filings, the teen allegedly raised his hand in a, quote, Hitler salute and said something about North Korea. The school's principal said it happened, but the teen's parents say he did not give any evidence. There is a second legal challenging involving this is the second legal challenging involving a zero tolerance law that was passed in Tennessee. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and this is hour number 2 of The Drive. Glad you're with us on this this very nice day. Well, amazing day. Never been a day as nice. Truly amazing.
Who are you channeling there, I wonder?
I don't. It's a day like never seen before of the day. It actually is a very nice day. 22nd day of August. Everybody trying to get home. Be careful. We'll try to get you some information. And I'm gonna delve into, remember, I'm taking the hit for you, so you don't have to watch the Democrat National Convention. And it's important, and it's a newsworthy event. But I know you don't want to watch it, so I'll watch it for you. But before we get to that, I think it's very interesting when you look at Democrats and how they seem to be coalescing around Kamala Harris. But you know what? You got the numbers that show one thing, and then when you go out there and you talk to people, you get a very different sense at times. That's called anecdotal evidence. It's not scientific, and I don't think polling is particularly scientific. More scientific than this, though. But you just go out and do man-on-the-street interviews. You get a sense of where people are, and the two don't really match up. Now, Lawrence Jones is part of the Fox and Friends group on the Fox News Monday through Friday, and he went out to a black barbershop in Chicago, right there where the convention is going on. And, you might expect that it would be very heavily, the conversation when you ask who you're going to vote for, it'd be heavily weighted toward Kamala Harris. And there certainly was some of that. But I got to tell you, I think it was about 50-50. In the black community, I'm told, and Lawrence Jones reinforces this, that, if you're a guy and you want to find out what's going on, you go down to the barbershop. That's where the guys hang out and they exchange information and they talk about world events and that kind of stuff. It is culturally very, very important in the black community. So he goes to a black barbershop in Chicago and just listen to some of the comments that came out of it.
I think it's time for a woman president. What do you say to the brothers that say, I'm just trying to, life was just better for me under the last administration?
I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Especially people in our industry.
But you do hear it, don't you?
Talking to the barber.
I hear it, but I don't believe it. Yeah. I don't believe it.
It's really enlightening to hear individuals start to change their political direction. I think it's time that blacks in general need to boost our political IQ. Stop being blindly faithful to a one-party system that doesn't work for us.
Growing up, you choose to be like a Democrat, but they really don't know the history of it. It's time to start thinking about like thinking outside the box.
Basically, most of us, I believe, we voted Democrat because that's what we was brought up to do. You go to the poll, they say vote Democrat, vote Democrat. But I don't really see no change that they say they're doing.
Everything you're hearing from the Democrats are already things that they failed at over 30 years. Blacks are struggling more than any other demographic. We got the highest prison rate, highest high school dropout rate, highest murder rate. What's in it for us?
Most blacks are conservative. If the Republican Party can just learn how to communicate, and the reason why they can't communicate is they don't get us. But a lot of people are waking up right now, as you can see, speaking to the brothers and sisters in the shop. And you know how many barbershops and beauty salons there are throughout the country?
This same conversation is happening pretty much in
everywhere, man, and it's changing.
And so, what I heard there was, sir, there were certain people said, I don't believe it, I'm going to vote Democrat. But the barber who was said, what do you say to people who say, well, I was better off under Trump, said, well, I just don't believe it. He said, but I hear it. So he's sitting there talking to customers all day long, and no doubt politics comes up. And what he hears from many of his customers is that they feel like they were better off with Trump. And there was, I think, there's an openness there to looking at other ideas rather than just voting Democrat, as one person said, because that's what we were raised to do. That's what we were always told, you go vote Democrat. Now, at least, they've reached a point now where they're considering other options. And I think it explains a lot about, where black voters are right now. I think they are looking at it and saying, well, you know what? We see that Kamala, is black, and we're sort of excited about the fact that a black person is at the top of the ticket, and we could have a first black president. But quite frankly, what makes her different? What makes me think that she's going to change my life in a significant way? And I had it much better under Trump. That's pretty impressive. It's anecdotal, but I think it's important to hear that black voters are now thinking about the election in a different way. So tonight we're going to hear from Kamala. She's going to give her big address. She's never faced a primary voter. She hasn't explained what her platform is. She hasn't held a press conference or a sit-down interview. I think the last time she did a sit-down interview was December of last year. So she's sort of going out there and telling you, I'm going to make it all better, but she won't tell you exactly what she believes in, nor will she explain the flip-flops and all of that. But anyway, last night we heard from Tim Walz, and after that, there was a really interesting sort of exchange between Scott Jennings on CNN, who was their sort of Republican on the panel, and Van Jones. And Van Jones said, look, I agree with you on certain things, but Scott Jennings just jammed him at the end.
I don't understand this. I've heard Walz proclaim to be a small-town guy who wants everybody to get an education and succeed. And he spends a fair amount of time attacking J.D. Vance, who grew up poor and got worked hard to get an education and rise above his station in life. And he has used it as a punchline on the campaign trail. And I don't understand what he's trying to communicate to every small-town poor kid out there, saying, if you choose to work hard and go to an Ivy League school, you somehow abandon your hometown. I don't get it.
Speaking as one of those small-town kids who actually went to Yale,
yes,
I do take exception to that. I think you are correct on that.
Yeah.
But I think that you are missing something. I just want to suggest a couple of things. One is, you are correct that there's a lack of specificity about how to pay for this stuff, and it does leave the door open for some fear or fear-mongering about how far is this going to go. Are we going to have more inflation? What have Democrats learned? I think all that is correct. But I think that you have to trust the pilot of the plane in the first place. And the problem right now is that Donald Trump is not a trustworthy pilot. And what these guys are winning, they're winning the babysitter contest. Who do you want? Whose values to be in charge of the plane before we get where we're going? And I think you're getting smoked on that. And I think that's how do you see it?
My brother.
Yes.
My brother. I have to tell you,
please.
The current pilot of the plane is Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is not the pilot of the plane.
I thought that was a brilliant point. But he you often hear in political talk about, how do you vote? Well, you vote for that person who you think would make a good babysitter for your kid. And he said, we're winning on that. And I think maybe they are winning on that point a little bit. But on the other hand of the equation, it is true that Kamala Harris is going to have to go out there tonight and talk about all the things that she's going to do to make America a wonderful place to live, and how she's going to answer all of the problems, and what kind of policy she's going to put out there. She's going to give you a lot of platitudes tonight. But the fact of the matter is, she is currently the vice president of the United States. And if there are problems in America that need to be fixed, she was part of having those problems. She is part of those problems. So it's a difficult sort of line to walk, a tightrope to walk. By the way, we have spies within the Democrat convention and within the Democrat operation. We have spies, and I've obtained a clip of Kamala Harris preparing for tonight's speech, and she's asked, she's going to talk about how she's going to solve America's problems. Here's exclusive tape of Kamala Harris preparing for tonight's speech, where she says she's going to telling people how she's going to solve America's problems.
Well, listen, when we are talking about a problem of this magnitude, okay, what we have to do first and foremost, full stop, we have to identify the problem. And when we identify the problem, we have to next generate solutions to the problem. Okay? And when we do that, then we can only move on to choosing a solution for that problem. Okay? And then, very important, we have to implement. Okay? Implement that solution, right? And when we've done that, when we've taken all of these steps and done all of the things, we are going to evaluate the results of that solution, okay? And that is how we're going to fix this problem, okay? You know what I'm saying, yeah? You do. Okay.
There you go. I mean, it's easy. You just you identify. You come up with a solution. You decide which solution you're going to follow. Then you evaluate that solution. I mean, it's very easy. By the way, that is, of course, not Kamala Harris. That's there's Kamala Harris. But that's Elsa Kurt, who does a dead-on impression of Kamala Harris. And honestly, we'll probably get something a lot like that tonight.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's going to be very similar.
Yeah, that's right. Again, Tim Walz spoke last night, and beforehand, one of the people who spoke said this.
Tim Walz is the kind of guy you can count on.
Unless you happen to be in his National Guard unit, then you, of course, cannot count on him at all. Then there was this moment with Nancy Pelosi, who seemed to be somewhat sober tonight.
On January 20th, 2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times.
Well, okay. How did that work out for you, ladies and gentlemen? The most successful of modern times. Wow, that's quite a stand-up. That's quite an evaluation. So now, I guess we need to hear a little bit of Waltz, right? Waltz from last night. I will say this. He gives a good speech. He had him riled up.
1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time, 1 phone call at a time, 1 door knock at a time, 1 $5 donation at a time. Look, we got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field. That's how we'll keep moving forward. That's how we'll turn the page on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Health care and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom. That's how we make America a place where no child is left hungry, where no community is left behind, where nobody gets told they don't belong. That's how we're gonna fight. And as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, thank you. God bless.
So, I mean, you get a lot of rah, rah, rah. You know, he's picking up on that thing like he's giving a pep talk as a coach, because he was a coach once. You get a lot of rah, 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 but you don't get any details. This is the typical thing that Democrats do. They promise you the world. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they don't talk about how they're going to pay for it. They don't tell you how they're going to implement it. They don't give you any of the details. It's just, we're going to tell you anything we need to tell you in order to get your vote. But, when we actually, if we were to become the president and vice president of the United States, there's virtually no chance we're going to be able to do these things. A lot of promises. A lot of platitudes, and you'll hear more of the same tonight. 21 past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
We have an update on the Canadian rail strike. Also, a manhunt for a man who has allegedly threatened former President Donald Trump. Those stories coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes past the hour. There was a really interesting moment last night again on CNN where Dana Bash sort of stuck her foot in it. But I don't know. I think she said the things that are true, but she didn't say them very artfully. She's talking about Doug Emhoff, who's the second husband, the second gentleman. That's what they call him. It's Kamala's husband. Talked about his speech last night. What they're trying to do is put forward male figures. Tim Walz being one of them, Doug Emhoff, who can speak to men out there who might not be the sort of, are you ready for this, testosterone-laden, gun-toting kind of guy who would want to listen to Hulk Hogan and the kind of players that came out of the RNC. Basically, what he's saying is that men who vote for Kamala apparently are not testosterone-laden. And without commentary, I'll just move on to this next story. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said Wednesday that former President Trump's campaign might not recover from Project 2025. Again, with this Project 2025. I mean, listen, folks, you need to tell your Democrat friends, to pay no attention to Project 2025. Let me just tell you the way that we came up with Project 2025. Inside the Washington Beltway, there are think tanks. There are think tanks for Democrats and there are think tanks for Republicans, and they always are putting out potential ideas. They trial balloons. Let's send this trial balloon up and see how if it floats. Let's run it up the flagpole and see if anything salutes it. It's just an idea place. So they generate ideas. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. Some of them turn into legislation. Some of them fall by the wayside, never to be heard again. Project 2025 was written by the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. It is just a series of ideas. Trump didn't sign on to Project 2025. In fact, he's been on record as saying, I don't know anything about Project 2025. Maybe an idea or two out of Project 2025 will make its way through Congress under the right circumstances and become law, but it's not a guidepost for all Republicans. It certainly is not that. It's anything but that. And Buttigieg is just out there again talking about Project 2025. They're trying, that's fear-mongering on the part of the Democrats, talking about Project 2025. Project 20, there's probably 4 or 5 other similar projects on the Democrat side of the equation. Ideas that they prepare and they think about, and they're, these are people to sit around and just contemplate for a living. Always thought it'd be a good job to just, be able to sit and contemplate and get paid for it. But apparently, I'm had it with this talk about Project 2025. It is not the official platform of the Republican Party, and Donald Trump has never read it. I can assure you he's never read it. So here we go. This other thing, oh gosh, here we go. 3 politicians that came to prominence in the wake of gun control protest in 2023 are set to speak at the 2024 Democrat National Convention. They are Tennessee state reps, yes, here we go, Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson, dubbed the Tennessee Three. They will be talking tonight at the convention. I don't know, the question the Tennessean asked, when will they speak? The time that they will speak has not been announced yet, but they will be featured on some level. I mean, look, they got to fill a lot of time. They start at 5 o'clock, and the primetime coverage doesn't begin until 10. They got 5 hours to fill. The people who come up on the stage, who I guarantee you are never going to be seen by the American public, so it may not be much, but at least, here we go. Tennessee Three being held up as a fine example of what Democrats should be. 30 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk.
It's 4:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's sunny, still 86 degrees outside. A complete forecast and the latest traffic report is on the way. Canada's government is forcing the country's 2 major freight railroads to enter contract arbitration with its labor union. That order coming from Minister of Labor Stephen McKinnon, who says once arbitration starts, trains will move again. Canadian National and CPKC both locked out their employees at midnight over a dispute with the Teamsters over schedules, rest between shifts, and change in how employees are paid.
In the current collective bargaining negotiations between Canadian National Railway, Canadian Pacific Kansas City, and the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference, an agreement has so far proven elusive.
A hunt is on today for a man allegedly threatened former President Donald Trump as he does his campaign trail in Arizona. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
As former President Trump visits Arizona, an Arizona man is being investigated for allegedly threatening to kill a presidential candidate. Sources tell ABC News that candidate is Donald Trump. Ronald Lee Syverud has outstanding unrelated warrants in Wisconsin and Arizona for hit and run, DUI, and failing to register as a sex offender. Police hope to use those warrants to get him off the streets or searching for him now. We're told the Secret Service is aware and monitoring. Alex Stone, EBC News.
News in Nashville. The city of Nashville has received a $5 million grant from the White House and U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to help add more affordable housing. Mayor Freddie O'Connell says it will create a new faith-based development institute and speed up construction on new affordable homes. Nashville is one of 21 communities nationwide to receive this grant. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, listen, here's a question from the folks over at Stoltz Co. Do you own some land? Are you doing anything with that land? You know, maybe something out in the country, maybe? Well, why don't you invest in that land by building something on it? Build something that the folks at Stoltz Co. can put together for you. I mean, you've got a lot of different options. You could do a barn dominium, which is, you know, basically a house that sort of looks like a barn. They're very popular and very cool, and a lot of people are doing that. It'd be maybe a place to retire to, you know, when you get out of the city, or a place to hang out on the weekends when you want to get out of the nitty-gritty city. I mean, what a great idea. A pole barn can be used for a lot of different things. It can be used as a garage space. It can be used, if maybe you're into the horsey thing, you can get an equestrian space. How about this idea? Just set up a place, an event space out there where you can sort of kick back with your friends on the weekend. All kinds of different ideas that you can do, but you ought to invest in that land if you got it. Listen, here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Go to their website, stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Take a look at the things they've done for other people. You'll get a lot of ideas. Then you're going to want to call them, and here's the number, 615-622-5992. Stoltzco.com. Find out all you need to know just by going to the website. Once again, stoltzco.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
38 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. Glad you're with us. Hang in there. Get on home safely. We'll get you some information and news to keep you informed so you can walk into the house and wow the fam with all of the stuff that you have learned. And, you know, I really struggle as to whether I should talk about these things because you don't want to give them a lot of coverage. But by the same token, you're talking about kids in school, and parents have a right to know what's going on at their school. And so we do report them. We try to do so responsibly. Multiple schools in Middle Tennessee were placed on lockdown. This is all over the place because of threat investigations. And look, you've got to take them seriously. You cannot ignore them. You have to act out of an abundance of caution because you never know. You know, you just never know. So schools in Bellevue, Greenbrier, White County, and Watertown were locked down today because of a number of different threats. Law enforcement agencies, this is Channel 4, law enforcement agencies placed several school districts on lockdown while they investigated threats on Thursday morning. Gower, I believe that's pronounced Gower Elementary in Bellevue, all 3 schools in Greenbrier, and every school in Watertown and White County were locked down by police for various threats. In Greenbrier, students at the high school, middle school, and elementary school were locked down while the merits of a suicide threat were looked into. The investigation did not disrupt classes and no students were ever in danger. The lockdown was lifted. In Watertown, and I went out to take a look at this myself today, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office was alerted to some alarming online chatter and went to the campuses to investigate. For precaution, all schools were at least put in a hard lockdown for a while. They later turned it into a soft lockdown. When I actually went out about an hour or so after this happened, and I can tell you the Wilson County Sheriff's Office was very prevalently seen at all of these schools. I mean, there were 2, 3, 4 units there. And they were going to stay there, I think, throughout the day until school was dismissed. But they did not find anything that backed up their concerns. But it was, again, you have to do this out of an abundance of caution. White County school officials alerted the parents of Cassville Elementary School that the campus was locked down due to a police investigation. Cassville staff carried out lockdown protocols around 8:30. In Bellevue, the Metro Nashville Police Department investigated a threat, as I said, at Gower Elementary. Students required to stay inside their respective classrooms. Officers cleared the building and normal operations resumed, although the students were only allowed to move freely within the building and no visitors were permitted access to the campus. Metro Nashville Police Department also reported a similar situation at Lockland Elementary. The school was placed on lockdown as the police cleared the building. No idea whether these are connected or not. That's the thing. It's odd to have so many different events, you know, in such a wide-ranging area. Were they somehow connected or were they not connected? One way or the other, again, law enforcement has to act out of an abundance of caution. In Sparta, they had a thing yesterday, or I guess it was Tuesday. After a bomb threat caused an early dismissal at White County Middle School, a student was detained. According to a letter penned by the director of schools, Kurt Dronebarger provided an update on the bomb threat investigation that occurred Tuesday. Dronebarger said law enforcement notified of a potential bomb threat and a lockdown was initiated. A student was detained and law enforcement deemed the threat as minor. Out of an abundance of caution, law enforcement advised to evacuate students while they conducted a sweep of the building, so they had to go home a little early. So again, it's sad that these things happen, but you got to understand. And again, parents were very worried. Apparently, here in Watertown, I understand a lot of parents showed up when they heard about it, wanted to know, what was going on, but everything cleared, and the school day ended without incident. Sort of related to that, Metro Nashville Public Schools is now implementing what they call a clear bag policy for all Metro Nashville Public School athletic events in the district. If you go to an athletic event as a fan or a supporter of that athletic event, you're going to have a clear plastic bag of some kind. Got to be clear plastic, vinyl, or PVC, not to exceed 12 by 6 by 12. This is basically, you can use a 1-gallon clear plastic freezer bag to carry all your important stuff. Only small clutch purses no larger than 4.5 by 6.5 inches will be allowed. This is, I guess, what we're coming to today. It's one of the things that I guess we have to deal with. Also in local news, how about this? Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will be in Nashville next week to attend a fundraiser hosted by Nashville businessman, former Trump administration official Adam Bowler and his wife Shira. Be held on August 27th at an undisclosed location in Nashville. Tennessee Senators Bill Hagerty and Marsha Blackburn will be there. Tickets for the event start at $2,500. I guess you got to be on the right list, because if you don't know where it is, you can't go. But I think anybody who might be willing to cough up $2,500 who supports the Trump Vance ticket probably already knows about this. But anyway, cool that Vance is going to be here. In the meantime, former Nashville Mayor Megan Barry on Tuesday announced an event titled Vice President Kamala Harris Day. It will be Saturday. And she issued a flyer that invited Nashville Democrats to win with black women by attending. We don't know if, I don't think she's going to be coming to the event, either in person or maybe remotely. Maybe that's what it's all about. But there you go. Completely unrelated to that, and not at all related to the world of politics. We told you earlier this week that there was going to be a Tim Hortons coming to the Nashville area. Now we hear that there's going to be another one. I think the first one in April, the city of Mount Juliet announced that Tim Horton would be coming to town. Mount Juliet will be the first city in Middle Tennessee to house the coffee shop franchise. But now the second one's going to be in the Donaldson area. If you don't know, Tim Hortons is it's like the Canadian Starbucks.
I'd like to think of it more of the Canadian Dunkin'.
Maybe you're right. I think it's more because they got donuts, and if you remember, when I went to Canada on vacation, we went to a Tim Hortons, and there was an unfortunate fritter incident, which really I promised
to talk about. That.
No, I'm not. I promised that we have decided not to talk. Well, between the two of us, Cabana wife and I, we are not talking about what we now describe as the fritter fiasco. But they have great fritters. I'll tell you that. Mine was delicious.
Yeah, I didn't think you had one.
No, I mean,
you had one, but I don't think it was yours to have.
If you missed the story, what happened here is that I knew that Cabana wife said they had great fritters, apple fritters, and I said, well, I'll have to try one. And so I wanted a fritter, and I wanted something else. I wanted a Boston cream. So I ordered. We walked in together. I ordered a fritter and a Boston cream. And then I turned to her and said, what would you like to have, dear? And she said, oh, nothing. And I said, okay. So I got my coffee. We got back in the car. And I said, hand me my fritter. And I started to eat my fritter. She said, what are you doing? I said, I'm eating my fritter. She said, that's not your fritter. That's my fritter. I said, no, you said you didn't want anything. Now, apparently she feels like she thought I was buying the fritter for her. So she didn't need anything else, but that's not what she said. She just said she didn't want anything.
In addition to the fritter, which you had already ordered.
Apparently, she thought the fritter was for her, but it was for me. I asked her, what do you want? Nothing. What is the guy supposed to expect? Well, I don't know. One way or the other, it became a thing.
Did you eat the whole fritter?
You always get something. You never, when they say no, they don't want anything. That means yes, get her something. You got to play it safe, my man.
Listen, I thought by asking, we've both sort of been on diets, and this was sort of not on the diet, but I wanted one, and I was going to get one, and I thought she was being good and staying on her diet. Well, that's impressive, but I'm going to have one.
You got to try it.
So then I realized the mistake. I said, well, here, please have the rest of my fritter. Well, no.
Too late now.
No, I don't want your fritter. You know how that goes.
So you finished it off, didn't you?
I did. It was delicious.
You're lucky she didn't snatch it from you and throw it out the window.
So now there's going to be one in Mount Juliet, which is, it's a short drive from Watertown. I can get to Mount Juliet. I could bring her an apple fritter, but now she told me she will never eat another apple fritter in her life.
All because of you.
And I feel like I have ruined fritters for her, and I feel bad about it, but honestly, it was an honest misunderstanding. Something that, any husband who's listening to this story can identify with.
Uh-huh.
No matter, despite your best intentions, I did wrong. Right now, if she's listening,
the texts are coming in right now.
Are they coming in?
Yep.
You were buying it for me. And she already said she wanted one. No. See, there's a difference of opinion about that. We were also, to be honest with you, we were dealing with another crisis at the time.
Oh, yeah, the rental
because
truck,
we
right?
rented a truck, and all of a sudden it wouldn't back up, and it would only drive forward in one gear, and we were trying to figure that out. So, there was a lot of confusion around the fritter. But what we don't remember anything about the car problem. We remember what we remember is the fritter fiasco. All right. Very quickly, some other Nashville news. I didn't mean to get into that long story. It's a very delicate issue in my house, as
yes,
you might
I can
imagine.
see.
Yeah. Southwest Airlines launching flights from Nashville to 3 new destinations in March. Are you ready? Travelers flying out of Music City will be able to fly directly, nonstop, to Indianapolis.
Yay.
Okay, well, not high on my list, but, okay, maybe for some people. Cabo St. Lucas and Punta Cana.
Hey.
So a couple of direct flights out of Nashville to Mexico. That's cool. 3 new, Doug Crulin, our good friend over there at BNA, listener to the show, good friend. Adding 3 new nonstop routes to BNA is a significant achievement for us as we remain dedicated to bringing additional destinations to BNA for the ease of our travelers. We are thrilled to share the addition of these new flights from Southwest that offers 60 nonstop destinations for our passengers. You know what? BNA really has become, Nashville is a big hub for them now.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. So there you have it. 50 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. She said she didn't want anything. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Might be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You could be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, or any other tax-deferred retirement account. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. You should defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. There is no cost, no pressure, no obligation. And if you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait a moment longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Trump at the border in Arizona, also disabled veterans in Tennessee being wrongfully taxed. Those stories coming up at 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So a Cabana wife says that if I take her to Cabo, she'll forgive me for the fritter incident.
Sounds like a fair trade to me.
I don't think that's a fair trade at all.
Hey, they have non-stops at BNA now from to Cabo.
We just talked about that. And I also found out that Punta Cana is not in Mexico. It's in the DR, the Dominican Republic.
Right. Yeah, I always get that confused, too.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it should be in Mexico.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a great destination.
Yeah. I don't know. If that's what it takes to get over this fritter thing, I'll have to consider it. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Hey, listen, what was it like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Smelly, greasy old rags lying around, a filthy countertop that you didn't want to touch. Another thing that stinks is repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, why don't you think about going to Eurofix? Eurofix will take the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And you'll never pay dealer prices. That's a good thing. Eurofix is located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now their newest location, Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Visit myEuroFix.com and tell them that your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's sunny, 85 degrees. The forecast and traffic report is on the way. Election 2024 news. Republican candidate Donald Trump appeared this afternoon in Arizona along the U.S.-Mexico border. ABC's Stephen Portnoy reports.
The former president spoke near Montezuma Pass in the shadow of the border wall.
Comrade Kamala has overseen a nation-wrecking border invasion.
Donald Trump says he plans to respond to Kamala Harris's convention speech in real time.
Because she'll lie just like the rest of them lied.
Asked about reports that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. intends to drop out of the race and endorse him, Trump said he didn't know whether that's true.
That would be a great honor for me.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
The man who threatened the life of former President Donald Trump is still at large. ABC's Alex Stone has the update.
It's not clear how credible the threats are, but sources tell ABC News that law enforcement believes Ronald Lee Syverud of Arizona has been making threats to kill former President Trump, and it comes as Trump has been in Arizona. Syverud has outstanding unrelated warrants in Wisconsin and Arizona for hit and run, failing to register as a sex offender, and DUI. So police hope to find him and arrest him on those warrants to reduce the alleged threat against former President Trump. Alex Stone, ABC News.
News in Nashville. This week, a state association told county clerks to make sure they are not overcharging veterans. It all comes after WSM Channel 4 uncovered Sumner County made disabled veterans pay a tax they weren't supposed to. Mike Mayo spent 4 years in the Navy with 2 tours to Vietnam. He now lives in Wilson County and recently went to Wilson County's clerk's office to get his tags renewed on his truck. There, Mayo was charged a $25 wheel tax. but as a totally disabled veteran, he knew he did not have to pay that. A wheel tax is charged if a person wants to renew their tags or register a vehicle. Since then, Sumner County Clerk's office admitted they accidentally charged disabled veterans. Wilson County Clerk Jim Goodall admitted they made the same mistake as Sumner. They believed about 100 veterans may have been wrongfully taxed. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hour number 3 of The Drive now kicking off on this Thursday, August 22nd. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock until we hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. And he is a great one. And we'll be bringing you news and information along there. This is I got to tell you, when you're in conservative talk radio, this is a tough week. Well, I mean, it's tough on a couple of different levels. Number one, you have to watch the Democrat National Convention so you know what's going on. You gotta know what's going on so you can come out here and actually talk and make fun of it and mock it and all that kind of stuff. We need to do that. So I've had to watch every night, and quite frankly, it's painful. Kudos to Cabana Wife because she's been having to endure it with me. And so we've been watching, and the whole idea is I'll watch it so you don't have to. But tonight it's over. Thank the Lord it's over after we hear from Kamala Harris. She will, it's just the most bizarre thing that I can imagine. Kamala Harris is going to go on a stage tonight and give a big keynote address where she will make a lot of promises. She won't tell you anything about how she's going to pay for it. She's not going to tell you anything about the weird positions that she's held in the past. She's going to repaint herself as somebody that is in the mainstream of political thought when she is anything but in the mainstream of political thought. She will never have to explain tonight in front of this Democrat crowd some of the things that she's held, the position she's held in the past. She's not going to be able to defend the actions at the border. She's going to tell you about all the things she's going to do and how America, she's going to pump you full of sunshine and rainbows and lollipops and cotton candy, and she's going to tell you all of the wonderful things that the Harris Waltz team is going to bring to America, but you're not going to get any details. She will accept the nomination tonight, having never faced one primary voter. I mean, what a bizarre thing to talk about. Democrats are supposed to be all about the Democrat process. She has not been involved in the Democrat process. She hasn't had to stand and face voters. It's been handed to her on a big silver platter. She has not held a press conference in the 32 days since she was, endorsed by Joe Biden. And Joe Biden got out. She hasn't held a press conference. She hasn't done a sit-down interview since last December. Oh, she's taken an oddball question here or there. But you know what? Every time she answers the question, you end up with more questions. You don't get any real answers from her because she doesn't want to commit to anything. She wants to be this sort of amorphous, vaporous person. And if you look at it, really what they're doing is the Democrats are running the same campaign they ran with Joe Biden. The only difference is you're not stuck in a basement. She will get out. She'll fly around the country. She'll do this. She'll do that. But she's not going to put herself in a position where she has to answer questions. She's not going to be put in a position where she has to defend the things that the Biden-Harris administration have done to this country. She's not going to put herself in that position. And she's simply just going to go out there and talk in platitudes and try to be likable, which is hard for her, but she's going to try her very best to be likable, and she's going to get out there and she's going to go out there and tell you a lot of stuff, and none of it is going to be real. She has not earned this the way politicians should earn it. She's been handed it. It's been a gift. In fact, if you look at her entire career, it's been a lot of that has happened in her career. Things have been handed to her. She has never held, I think since the day she worked in McDonald's, she admitted that she worked at McDonald's for a while. I don't think she's held a real job in a lot of years. She wouldn't know what it is to make a payroll. She doesn't have any idea what it is to work at a job like you and I work in, where we have to clock in and do our thing. She's never done that. She basically has been in the world of politics for ages and doesn't have any real understanding of what it's like to live in America. She's got all these grand ideas. The one thing that she sort of came out on and sort of talked about in some level of detail was her desire to impose price controls in the marketplace so that you can have cheaper groceries. Now, cheaper groceries sounds great, but imposing price controls, to have some bureaucrat decide, what the price of a dozen eggs is going to be in Tennessee is a recipe for disaster. And the only thing she gave us any kind of real detail about was that, how she was going to impose price controls in order to make food more affordable for most families. And she got creamed for it. She got, pilloried by Democrats and Republicans. She said, I don't know, that doesn't sound like a very good idea. They tried that in Venezuela. They tried that in the old Soviet Union, and what you ended up with was shortages and a black market for everything. That doesn't work. And so, having learned the lesson of if I give you details, then, I have to defend those details, and I'm not prepared to defend those details. And quite frankly, I just want to tell you all the things I'm going to do for you, all the goodies I'm going to give you, how life is going to be so much better. There's just one problem with all of that. When she tells you that she's going to make life better, the flip side of that coin is that the reason things are not better is because of the Biden-Harris administration. That's the problem here. That's the problem. She has, anytime she says, I'm going to make it better for you, she is, in a way acknowledging, I know things aren't so great right now, and I know we've been in charge, but we're going to forget all that, forget how bad it was, and forget all the mistakes we made, and forget how good it was under Trump, and how bad it was under Biden. Forget about 9.1% inflation. Forget about all the problems that are going on at the border. Don't pay any attention to that. It's going to be good. Somehow it's the same person, the same policies, but somehow we're supposed to believe it's going to be better. Don't worry, it's going to be better. It's going to be fine. I learned a long time ago when you ask somebody, for details on something and they say, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You should be worried about it. And that's all you hear is, don't ask me for details. Trust me, it's going to be fine. I don't trust her, and I don't think it's going to be fine. And yet what just baffles, I'm baffled by it, is how Americans are lapping this stuff up. Or a good portion of Americans are just lapping this stuff up. All right, I would like to have cheaper housing. Great. How are you going to do that? She doesn't give you the details. She just says, I'm going to make your housing cheaper. I'm going to make your food cheaper. If you can do all those things, tell me why in the hell you haven't done them while you were in charge. If you're going to make, a secure border and you're going to crack down on the border, why the hell didn't you do it when you were the border czar? No, she's going to tell you a lot of stuff. It's going to be very sugary tonight, all positive, all of these great and glorious things that Kamala Harris is going to do for you. But she's not going to give you any of the details. She's like a ghost. She's, she's you can see her, but there's no real substance to her. She's vaporous. And it's, and the thing about it is the press corps is just giving her a pass. Giving her a complete pass. The Media Research Center says that 89% of her coverage is positive, and roughly the same amount of coverage for Trump is negative. So the media are lapping up everything that she's saying. They're not questioning her. They're not holding her accountable. They just say, well, Kamala Harris says this. Kamala Harris says that. Where is the how and the why? I mentioned that as a reporter, you're supposed to say, well, who? Well, okay, Kamala Harris. Where? Democrat National Committee. When? Well, tonight. But you don't get into the why. Who, what, when, where. But you don't get into the why, or perhaps the most important question. It's not a W, it's an H. How? How are you going to? Why are you going to do that? And why have you done these certain things in the past and now are walking away from them? And how are you going to implement these policies that you assure us are going to be the greatest things in sliced bread? It's maddening, is what it is to watch the Democrats get away with this, and that the media are not insisting. They're not pounding the table. They're not screaming bloody murder. Every once in a while you hear somebody say, really, she should talk to the press corps. She should answer questions. She should have a press conference. She is not committed to having a press conference, an all-out press conference. Donald Trump did one today. J.D. Vance does it every single day, but she won't. And neither were Tim Walz, because they don't want to have to answer questions. You know why? Here's the first question that any good reporter would ask. Why did you hold a position on this that you now have flip-flopped on? Donald Trump is right about one thing. She is the world's greatest flip-flopper.
She's the greatest flip-flopper in history. She's going to ban fracking in Pennsylvania, but now she says she isn't, but she will 100%. She's going to do all of these things that are going to destroy our country, but she's flip-flopped on virtually every single thing she said and lived with for a whole life, long before her political life. So she's going to go back to him, and our country will be destroyed. Even if she doesn't, our country will be literally destroyed by her ideology.
Yeah, she is. We have to understand what she is, and we have to get it across somehow. You're not going to get any help from the news media, and the only way that you will be able to make that known is through paid advertising and through the effective use of the media when you have an opportunity. And so far, I've been underwhelmed by the Trump campaign's ability to take advantage of those media opportunities. Well, look, at the end of the day, these numbers are tight. She's got to get a bit of after convention bump. You know, we got one, she'll get one. But I've got to hope that at some point, the American people are going to see the fact that she's all hat, as we say in Texas. She's all hat and no cattle. In other words, she is not the thing that she purports to be. That she cannot hide from the press corps forever, and she cannot defend the current administration because it's been a disaster. The only thing she can do is talk in platitudes and make promises and make these sugary, sweet speeches about all the things she's going to do to make life better for the average American. But the question still at the end of the day comes back. If you had the ability to do these things, why haven't you done them in the 3.5 years that you've been the vice president of the United States? The person who, by all accounts, is the last person in the room when Joe Biden makes a decision. You know, you're supposed to have this, this great relationship with the president, and he wants your counsel, he wants your advice, but what did you do with that opportunity? Kamala's big night, and thank goodness after this we can move on. I think my prediction is a little bump, and that will be the high water mark for Kamala Harris. By the way, it's interesting. There's been a surge in her numbers after she became, known that she was going to be the nominee. The numbers have sort of gotten better for her and tightened up. Not near as good as they should be if you compare them to where Biden was at this point in 2020 or where Hillary Clinton was at this point in 2016. She's way behind. So I have great hope that things are still going to be okay. But I sure wish that somebody would ask her a couple of big questions that we could get her on the record for anything and get some direct answers from her about all of the things that she's running from. And the reason she's running from them is she can't defend her record, and she really doesn't have any real policy positions that she can explain in detail for the future. 21 past the hour. So listen, the folks at United Structural Systems are got a couple of things going on right now. If you've got problems with your foundation and you've been putting it off, putting it off and putting it off, maybe you got a basement that needs waterproofing or a crawl space that's wet, damp, musty, moldy. They can help you with all that kind of stuff. Maybe you got concrete that's used to be level, but now it's sinking, it's sloping. There's a lot of that here in Middle Tennessee. Well, this is the time to take advantage of their new offer. They're taking, in the month of August, they're taking 10% off any job over $2,500. Financing available, no payments, no interest for 1 year with approved credit. And here's the thing you're going to love about United Structural Systems. They're going to come out to your house. In fact, they're coming out to my house next week to take a look at a couple of things. And they're gonna look at your entire situation. They'll tell you what you got going on. They'll tell you what they can do to make it better. And then there's no pressure. It's up to you, and if you decide to go forward, here's the other thing. You won't have to pay a penny until the job is done and you're completed. That's right. The inspection and their great advice doesn't cost you 1 red cent. They've been serving Middle Tennessee and Southern and Western Kentucky for about 25 years now, and at USS they guarantee their best. Why don't you give them a call? 615-488-7855. Learn more by going to their website, ussTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Canadian government stepping in to get that rail strike resolved. That story and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 25, almost 26 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Here's what we used to call in television news a Hey Martha story. It's one of those stories that you put at the end of a newscast, and somebody watching it would go, "Hey Martha, did you see that thing on the TV?"
Bet that's what they were saying when you drove off with the gas pump.
Why are you bringing that up again?
Sorry.
If you missed it, I apparently made a big. I did make. I had a big mess up today. I drove off and took the pump handle with me. It was an ugly mess here in Watertown. Listen to this. One of the largest diamonds ever unearthed from a mine has been discovered in Botswana. Now, you might think of, like a 2-carat diamond or a 5-carat diamond.
Pretty big diamond.
That's a big diamond. I mean, you know how many carats this one is? 2,492 carats.
Ooh.
Yeah, they hold it in their hand and they put it next to a golf ball. I would say it's about the size of a softball. No, it's not perfectly round, but it's big. It's really big.
Wow.
We're ecstatic about the recovery of an extraordinary 2,492 carat diamond, said the CEO of a mine in Botswana. And apparently they say that this is the largest diamond found in more than 100 years. It's not the largest, but it will be the second largest diamond in the history of diamonds. The Cullinan was at 3,106 carats back in 1905. And it was apparently cut into smaller gems, and it forms part of the British crown jewels. So, don't know what's going to happen to this diamond. The last big diamond that was found out of this same mine, by the way, was 1,758 carats. And this was in 2019, and it was sold to the French fashion house Louis Vuitton for an undisclosed amount.
Undisclosed.
Wow.
A lot of zeros there.
I mean, it's a lot of diamond, I'm telling you.
Yeah, 2,000 carats. That's a lot of onions, baby.
One of the most iconic hats in film history went up for auction this weekend, fetched a pretty penny. The brown felt fedora worn by Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom back in 1984. How much do you think they paid for that at auction?
$250,000.
Way wrong.
You want me to guess again?
Oh, yeah, I want you to guess again.
$500,000.
Still low.
Wow.
$630,000 for a hat, a felt hat.
Wow. That's a cool hat, though, man. When I was a kid, I wanted that hat so bad because I thought Indy was the coolest ever.
The fedora is from the personal collection of late stunt performer Dean Ferrandini, who also wore it while playing Jones. Apparently, it was a gift. As he left the movie, they let him keep the hat. And now he's cashing in to the tune of $630,000.
Man.
The auction contained various movie props from Indy, Star Wars, Harry Potter, James Bond. So there you go. How about that? And then I guess I should save this story for later because I'm running short of time. But we still have astronauts that are stranded in space. They're not lost in space. We know where they are. They just can't come home. And it's been like, I don't know, they're supposed to be there 7 days, and now we're heading into, 3 months? Almost 3 months, I think it is. Well, apparently the problem, I'll give you the short answer here. Apparently the problem is they could come back in the SpaceX capsule, but they have Boeing spacesuits that don't connect to the SpaceX capsule. Apparently there are different kinds of spacesuits, and if they come back, they would have to ride back without a spacesuit.
Wow.
Now, it's pressurized cabin, but if something goes bad, it goes bad, right?
Why couldn't they just send a couple of spacesuits up in the capsule?
Well, apparently they're talking about doing that, but then they have to leave empty seats on the spacecraft for it to come back. And apparently, I mean, there's a real possibility they won't be coming back until next year.
Wow.
They're supposed to be there 7 days. Hey, honey, I'll be back in a week. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's 30 minutes past the hour.
It's 5:30, and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's still sunny out there, 85 degrees in the forecast, and traffic report is on the way. Canada's government is forcing the country's two major freight railroads to enter contract arbitration with its labor union. The order comes from Minister of Labor Stephen McKinnon. Canadian National and CPKC both locked out their employees at midnight over a dispute with Teamsters over schedules, rest between shifts, and a change in how employees are paid. Here's the Minister of Labor Union, Stephen McKinnon.
It is the government's responsibility to ensure industrial peace in this critically vital sector. Thus, we will be examining why, we experienced repeated conflicts in the railway sector and the conditions that led to the parallel work stoppages we are seeing.
ABC's Dave Packer has the report on how this strike could affect the U.S. economy.
The cross-border rail stoppage disrupting deliveries of cars, timber, grain, and petrochemicals. Union Pacific warns that 2,500 rail cars per day won't move across the border, halting the flow of billions of dollars in goods. The railroad cautioned that prolonged delays could lead to supply chain shortages, increased costs, and widespread impacts on industries and consumers in both Canada and the U.S. A Moody's Analytics economist estimating daily economic damage could reach $250 million per day. Dave Packer, ABC News.
News in Nashville, an update on one of the men arrested in the human trafficking investigation in Clarksville. It has been reported by WSM4 that Austin Peay State University former football assistant coach Patrick Kugler was one of the 6 men arrested. Kugler resigned from the position last Sunday. He was charged with 1 count of trafficking for sexual servitude. His bond was set at $5,000. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
Hey, did you know that gold is up nearly 78% over the last 5 years? Probably up a little more than that because it's been really rising the last few days. Silver up 99% in that same time period. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. The government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth. It doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop. Gold and other precious metals can be a great shield against that inflation. You know, it's an election year, and the politicians will promise you that they're going to rein in their spending, but you know they can't help themselves. They just can't stop. And this is why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you get that protection? Well, you should reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll take great care of you and keep you well informed on all precious metals opportunities. So act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. All you got to do, it's very simple. Just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. And look, I'm just going to tell you, I have it on pretty good authority that RFK Jr. will be on the same stage with Trump tomorrow. Now, Trump was asked about this today, and he said he didn't know that was true. But apparently, it is a very well-known fact in certain circles that RFK Jr. and Trump will appear tomorrow. And there have been a lot of reports about it today, and some that started yesterday, that RFK Jr. Is expected to drop out of the race and then plans to endorse Trump. I think the way it looks right now, people have sort of put it together that Trump and RFK are going to be coincidentally close in the same location, I think in Phoenix. So one way or the other, it sounds like it's all coming together, and sources are suggesting with a high degree of certainty that this will happen. So I'm going to go with it. RFK expected to drop out of race and endorse Trump, sources say. Sources tell ABC News that Kennedy plans to endorse Donald Trump. But when asked directly by ABC News if he will be endorsing the former president, Kennedy said, I will not confirm or deny that. Well, see, that's called a non-denial confirmation. I will not confirm it, but I won't deny it. We're not talking about any of that, he said. I guess there's some last-minute things that still have to be put together, but it sounds like it's coming together. And so one scenario is can appear on stage with Trump at the event in Phoenix on Friday. Those sources caution that Kennedy's thinking could change, and sources close to Trump say no plan for Friday is finalized. Is that really true, or are they just being coy? Kennedy's campaign manager, Amaryllis Fox, emailed senior staff on Wednesday morning, thanking them for their hard work, but indicated a decision on the way forward has not been made. A source familiar with the email told ABC News. I think it's going to happen. It makes a lot of sense for it to happen. There may be some last minute details to be ironed out, but I would think that there's a pretty good chance it's going to happen. Here's CNBC. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plans to drop out of the presidential race on Friday and endorse Republican nominee Donald Trump, NBC News reported Wednesday, citing two sources familiar with the independent candidate's plans. Kennedy's withdrawal from the race would end a long-shot bid that nonetheless threatened to upend the major party contest between Trump and his Democrat rival, Vice President Kamala Harris. Both Trump and Kennedy have events scheduled in Phoenix on Friday. Kennedy's campaign has billed the event set for 2 p.m. as an address about his present historical moment and his path forward. Well, all the signs are flashing here, right? Now, the real question is, if Kennedy gets out and decides that he's going to throw his endorsement toward Trump, maybe there's something that Kennedy is expecting to get in return. There's a lot of cabinet positions, and although Republicans will not agree, conservatives will not agree with RFK on a lot of his positions, particularly the issue of abortion, for example, there are positions within a government that aren't really, that political. And he has some strong feelings about certain areas, and if he found a platform to pursue that within the framework of a Trump administration, then I could see him doing that. But what happens if will all of the people who are now following RFK, and that depending on where you look at it, is somewhere, I would say, between 3 and 5% of the electorate. Well, in a very close election, if you get 3% of those people to go over and say, I'm now going to vote for Donald Trump, it could change the dynamics of the election once again. Because it's really tight, if the polls are correct. What the polls say about this issue, it's been polled. Wall Street Journal polling found that among voters backing third-party or independent candidates, half would switch their vote to Trump, while 1/4 would back Harris. The proportion would likely shift further in Trump's favor if Kennedy threw his weight behind the former president with an explicit endorsement. I think that's accurate. Trump and Kennedy have had an on-off relationship throughout the 2024 campaign, and with some speculation that Trump could approach Kennedy to be his running mate early on, stifled by public attacks, pinning him as too far left and radical. I think when he was asked this question today, Trump said he would be honored to have the endorsement. So, I don't know. It sounds like it's all starting to come together, and that may be the big news. And really, what wonderful timing, right? I mean, here you got the Democrats, with their big moment at the convention tonight. Kamala Harris, going out there and giving a sugary sweet speech where she talks about all the things she's going to do, but not tell you how she's going to do them. And then, boom, you're supposed to get a bump there, but all of a sudden, you take everything that happened the night before off of the page because the big story will be RFK Jr. now endorsing Trump. The timing couldn't be better. So I think if I were you, I would say this is probably going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Twist my arm. I think it's going to happen. And apparently sources very close to the situation are saying that it will happen. We'll see. We'll see. As long as we're talking politics, Tennessee U.S. Representative Mark Green has sent a letter, has joined a letter that is being sent to Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz, condemning his misleading military background. Green was one of 50 Republican veterans serving in the U.S. Congress who sent a letter to Minnesota Governor and Democrat Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz condemning his lies about his service in the Minnesota National Guard, this according to the Tennessee Star. The letter, organized by former President Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign and was led by U.S. Representative Brian Mast, a retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant who also chairs the Veterans and Military Families for Trump Coalition. Walz, who served in the Minnesota National Guard for 24 years, was condemned by the 50 Republicans for referring to himself as a retired command sergeant major, despite officially retiring as a master sergeant in 2005. The office of the vice president is a position that requires the trust of the American people and a solemn commitment to duty on behalf of the United States of America. As veterans who have served our nation, we feel compelled to address your egregious misrepresentations and urge you to come clean to the American people. The Minnesota governor has also been criticized for the timing of his retirement from the military, which was seen by some as an alleged effort to dodge a deployment to Iraq. There's also some things that he said about, we need to ban the kind of weapons that I carried in war. He's never been in a war zone. Been to Italy, but not a war zone. This is news that you're not hearing a lot about. This is from the Associated Press. A federal judicial panel has dismissed a lawsuit alleging that Tennessee's U.S. House maps and those for the state Senate amounts to unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. So in other words, we have a way of doing it here in Tennessee that was challenged by Democrats, and a federal judicial panel has dismissed the lawsuit. In sum, the complaint alleges the facts that are consistent with a racial gerrymander, stating the rule, which was issued on Wednesday, but the facts are also consistent with political gerrymandering. So they said basically things can remain as they are, and that according to the Associated Press. Democrat Party platform, according to the Federalist, this is big stuff, calls for the Department of Justice to intervene in elections across the country in the interest of voting rights. The party released its platform Sunday, such as it is, ahead of the already contentious Democrat National Convention in Chicago. It boasts the Department of Justice has more than doubled staff to enforce so-called voting rights laws. The document also calls for passage of the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act, which has been explained by the Federalist, would allow the federal government to intervene anywhere in the country to overrule local or state authorities when the left claims election discrimination against minorities. See, the Constitution is very clear on this point. This is the thing the Democrats do. They throw out a piece of legislation. Sometimes they're able to ram it through, or they do something through executive order, and then we find out over time it's unconstitutional. Takes a while to get there, but that's ultimately what happens. The Constitution is very clear on this question. Elections are to be conducted by the states. As the states see fit. This has been reinforced by the Supreme Court time and time and time again. States get to decide how they run their election, and conservative states may run them a little differently than liberal Democrat states. The red states are going to have one way of running an election, and the blue states might have a different way, but both are entitled to run them as they see fit, within certain boundaries, I suppose. But this would, in effect, if they implement this thing that they put on their party platform, they would basically be federalizing state elections. You don't want that. When Congress passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, it established a formula requiring some jurisdictions to seek federal approval before changing voting laws, apparently to reduce racial voting restrictions in the Jim Crow era in compliance with the law. Congress continued authorizing the formula through 2006, letting the federal government have some say over local voting laws. For example, South Carolina was required to pre-clear a law requiring photo ID in 2012, and the DOJ denied it. But, this is what the Democrats want to do. They want to have it done their way. It's their way or the highway. And here's the thing that you should draw from all of this. The Democrats love to use the levers of government, no matter where it is, the Department of Justice, the IRS, the Department of Labor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, whatever it is. They love to use whatever levers of government are out there to be used to sort of amp up their political prospects. They want to use the levers of government to give them a political advantage in every setting, and they've done it time and time and time again. And if and that's just the way they operate. Now, as I said, sometimes this ends up going all the way to the Supreme Court, and they get thrown out. But it takes a long time to do that, and the damage is done while they are operating under those executive orders. Don't be shocked, stunned, and amazed that as part of their platform, they want to weaponize the Department of Justice to make elections not the purview of the state, but federal elections. 50 minutes now past the hour. If you have a pain in your back, you know what that is? That's pressure on your nerves. And you know what? There are no pills or spinal creams that can magically fix that. If you have pressure on your nerves, you really have only a couple of choices: surgery or non-invasive, non-surgical spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville for my back pain, and it's been a blessing. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer the latest and high-tech equipment, and they are on the cutting edge with their latest non-surgical procedures. Getting better is important, so Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half-off the KT knee machine. That's sort of like spinal decompression, but it's aimed at the knee. You gently elongate the knee and allow the healing therapy to get deep within that joint. Listen, if you are a new patient, what a deal we have for you. You go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, you get an exam, they'll take some x-rays if they need it to find out what's truly going on. They will consult with you, they'll come up with a plan to help you get better, and you'll get your first treatment. All of that, $23. And then going forward, remember, the non-surgical procedures are half off. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 6 o'clock, and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. Sunny and 83 degrees, still that weather forecast and traffic reporter on the way. Former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump was at the border in Arizona doing a speech during the final day of the DNC. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
She was brutally raped and murdered.
In the shadow of the border wall, Donald Trump stood alongside the relatives of those who've lost loved ones to violence, allegedly committed by immigrants here illegally. Trump accused Kamala Harris of unleashing a deadly plague of crime.
She will not mention the victims. She won't even talk about them, although now that she sees us, maybe she will.
Trump says he plans to respond to Harris's speech on social media in real time. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
An update on the man that threatened the life of former President Trump. Fox News reports Arizona authorities arrested 66-year-old Ronald Lee Savard without incident. He was arrested around 2:30 p.m. local time. Charges against Savard are pending. The U.S. Postal Service wants to save $3 billion annually on changes that reflect its greater reliance on streamlined regional networks, while retaining local mail delivery times of 1 to 3 days and allowing customers to track some delivery schedules with greater precision. The proposal announced today would adjust mail delivery times while maintaining a commitment to a maximum 5-day delivery for the flagship Ground Advantage program nationwide and a maximum 3-day delivery for local first-class mail. Postmaster General Luis DeJoy said the changes to take place next year are necessary to, quote, enable us to operate more efficiently and reliably, grow our business, and give us a chance for a viable future. After an 80% drop in first-class mail since 1997 and a corresponding growth in packages, all told, the Postal Service has amassed more than $87 billion in losses from 2007 to 2020. News in Nashville, the Tennessee Three, Representative Justin Pearson from Memphis, Representative Justin Jones from Nashville, and Representative Gloria Johnson from Knoxville were scheduled to speak tonight at the DNC. However, the three will no longer take the stage for reasons not yet released. The DNC's Thursday evening main programming is already in progress. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is, let's call it 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Good evening. This is the fourth and final hour of today's drive. We'll be here for this hour, and then we'll hand it over to Mark Levin after 7 o'clock news, and he'll continue on through the rest of the evening, or for at least a good part of it. All kinds of stuff that's starting to pop here this afternoon. Let me bring you up to date. Number one on my list at breaking news, that the man that they were seeking in Arizona, who had apparently leveled a threat against President Trump, and he's in Arizona, is now in custody. So that situation is under control. Don't know a great deal about the kind of threat that was leveled, but believe me, right now, following Butler, Pennsylvania, people are taking that kind of stuff very seriously. He's an elderly gentleman who apparently has a lot of encounters with the law, let's put it that way, has apparently made some kind of threat, and they were looking for him earlier today, and apparently that person has now been caught, captured, in custody, and so that situation, that threat has diminished. The second thing is, I told you earlier that the Tennessee Three were going to be, the three people who are, from Tennessee that were so active. Democrats are supposed to be there. Well, they were supposed to be speaking tonight. Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, Gloria Johnson, state reps. They were supposed to be given a sort of a high-profile appearance at the convention, and that's a big deal. But apparently, they've been bumped. Now, why have they been bumped? Is the question. I'll tell you why I think they've been bumped, and then I'll tell you about a rumor that is floating around. I think, number one, every night that they've had the convention, they've had their primetime speaker on too late. Why? Because Democrats don't know how to back time. They don't know how to run a show. They don't know how to get people on and off the stage, on time. And so they're very undisciplined about their convention. I'm telling you, the Republican National Convention, Republicans are not immune to this some years, but this last one ran like a Swiss clock. People were on when they were supposed to be on. They were off when they were supposed to be off. It was seamless. It was perfect. It ran like a tightly run ship. The Democrats, they're putting on their primetime speakers way after prime time. And even their vice president, their nominee for vice president, Tim Walz, was on well after prime time last night. Now, so, you want to put your best speeches in prime time when you have the biggest audience, and they just aren't disciplined enough to do it. So maybe they decided, well, we can't do that to Kamala Harris. That may be part of it. But perhaps something else is at play. Oh, I hope this is wrong. The scheduling shift that bumped the Tennessee Three, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson, comes amid swirling rumors that a surprise speaker was being slotted into Thursday night's schedule. None of it has been confirmed, but social media is abuzz. It's buzzing. That a high-profile celebrity will make an appearance tonight. Now, who could that be? Could be Taylor Swift. Trouble, trouble, trouble. Yeah. Well, first of all, if she does so, I think, at her own peril, because I think when superstar celebrities get involved in politics, well, basically, you are alienating half of your audience. I don't know, maybe not half of her audience, because half of her audience is 12 and 14-year-old girls who can't vote anyway. But, she has a following. There's no doubt about it. She is perhaps the most popular entertainer on the. If you go by the amount of money she's making, the number of people that come to her tours, the number of records, you have a hard time finding any celebrity out there who's bigger than Taylor Swift. But I tell you what, I think that it will for a lot of people go, oh, Taylor Swift is endorsing Kamala Harris. Well, I'll vote for anybody but Kamala Harris. I think there is that element out there, but that's the buzz. Tay-Tay. It is trouble. Well, that's going on. So that's the thing, and just the fact that social media is buzzing about it means that there'll be huge numbers. People will tune in to find out if it's true or not. So they'll have great numbers for her speech. Maybe the other thought is that if it's not Tay-Tay, it's Beyonce, which would be pretty big too. But I don't know. There've been a lot of questions, raised about whether or not Tay-Tay would. I said it. I thought you were going to do it again. No, I kept had enough. That Tay-Tay would get involved politically. I mean, they really want her to get involved politically and get her, her huge worldwide following engaged. So I don't know. It's not the first time we've heard that Taylor Swift was flirting with the idea. Okay.
Not like she's going to surprise anyone if she does endorse.
If she does it, we know where she lies. We know where her politics are. But I don't understand. I've never understood this thing about entertainers deciding that they're going to get political. I mean, there's no percentage in it, honestly. If I were a guy who had put up a lot of money to have a movie made, and I had a mega star as part of that lineup, somebody who had real cachet, box office cachet as they call it, and then that person gets out there during the publicity tour and says something political that absolutely pisses off half of the potential audience for your movie. I mean, I'd be so furious about that. Why did you do that? Because now there are a good number of people who will not come to see the movie. What is the purpose of a movie? Well, it's to have people come and see it, to see your art, to see your work, and to make money. It's a return on investment, and so. I said that word, return on investment. And, so you got all these people out there that, who you want to come to the movies, and half of them just say, I wouldn't see that movie for love nor money. Now, I've never understand why they do it. There's no percentage in being political. If you are out there, you are going to alienate half of your potential audience in a 50-50 America. So why do it? Why do it? I don't know. It sounds like it's probably going to happen. One of two things: either they're bumping them because they realize they've been running over every night and they needed to trim the schedule. They just can't keep shoving stuff into the schedule. Everybody wants time on the platform. Everybody wants time, before the cameras, and they just can't accommodate everybody. If you're going to stay on time, I think that's part of it. But maybe something will happen tonight. We'll see. We have told you this story before in different ways. There are a lot of companies out there that have diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI programs, and some of them have come under scrutiny of late. Remember the story? You may not have remembered it. It came and went so quick. There was a story about the Tractor Supply. Remember, I love the Tractor Supply. I love going to the Tractor Supply. But apparently, there was a story that got out there. I think Robbie Starbucks has something to do with this. He's been out there exposing these companies that have DEI policies and talking about it. And so he said, look, the people at the Tractor Supply, the very conservative people who work at the Tractor Supply, have just about had enough of all the DEI. And when people found out that Tractor Supply supports the ideas of diversity, equity, inclusion, and apparently the owner of the Tractor Supply is quite a liberal individual. Who knew? But immediately they realized they were about to lose a lot of market share and a lot of business, having witnessed what happened to Bud Light and a whole host of other companies, Target, others, who really came under the gun after their liberal policies had been revealed. They quickly said, we're getting shed of that stuff pretty quick. Well, just the other day, we told you that the Harley-Davidson company had come under attack because of their DEI policies. You know, you think of Harley Davidson, you think of big burly bikers, you know, and it's a sort of a, I'm not saying exclusively a manly product, but it's a product that guys, you know, they like to get out there and ride their hogs. That means ride their motorcycles. And some, you know, immediately, as soon as that got out there, Harley Davidson put out a statement and said, well, we're doing away with all of our DEI proposals, all of it. It's, you know, the old thing about woke being broke is really, there's a lot of truth to it. When people find out about it, you could lose 50% of your market share, you know? And so Harley Davidson has said that they are not going to be engaged in DEI. Now comes the latest one, Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels has taken a stiff shot of sanity. Warrior against woke Robbie Starbuck claimed on a Wednesday night after telling Fox News Digital he had his sights set on another iconic American brand. And now, apparently, Jack Daniels has renounced its woke agenda, and another one bites the dust, as they say. Jack Daniels is the latest in a growing list of iconic U.S. brands to rid itself of what has proven to be a toxic woke program. Jack Daniels must have been tipped off by us going through an employee LinkedIn pages, he said, and they decided to announce it, that they would not be doing this anymore. With his eye on corporate America, Starbuck was the force behind exposing the social agendas of John Deere and Tractor Supply, Harley Davidson, and now, apparently, the good people at Jack Daniels. I mean, that's another sort of, you know, why would you just, again, why would you invest in a policy that's going to alienate 50% of your potential market? It just doesn't make any sense. When I hear these singers go out and they want to lecture us about, our politics, or these actors, who come from a very liberal background. It used to be said, it's a little better now because some people have realized that, there is money to be made in producing material that actually appeals to middle America, to conservatives in America. And it's not as bad as it once was, but I had a friend I worked with who told me that when he was in L.A., he was part of a sort of a secret group of conservatives, and they had to sort of have like a secret handshake, and you had to be vetted to get in because they were afraid that if people found out who was in the group, that they would no longer be able to work in Hollywood. They wouldn't be able to get jobs. They wouldn't get acting gigs. They wouldn't get producer gigs. And apparently, there's this whole subculture in L.A. that operates like that, so that they can be conservatives, but not be too public about it. It's better now than it was, but it's still very true that if you are a conservative in Hollywood, you can't find work as easily as if you were a liberal. But again, that is changing somewhat because some people have found out that wholesome fare actually sells, because there's a great number of people in America who don't want to have, the perverted stuff that comes out of Hollywood. So anyway, I've never understood why people who are actors and entertainers, your job is to entertain. Your job is not to lecture to me. Just entertain me. Singers, just shut up and sing, as they say. I don't want to hear about your politics. I don't want to hear about, what you think is important. I just want you to entertain me and provide me with good music. Not too much to ask. Well, I wonder whether we'll have to pull the Tay-Tay music again tomorrow.
We'll have to wait and see.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. 21 past the hour. D.T. McCall, a company that has been around in Middle Tennessee for more than a century. If you need furniture, if you need appliances, if you need a mower, I love my Cub Cadet. I was out on my Cub Cadet zero-turn mower today that I got at DT McCall's. That thing is a tank. You will love yours. But whatever you need for your home, you need electronics, you need a big screen TV, they got it. You need furniture for the bedroom, they got it. You need a mattress, they got it. I mean, whatever you need, you're going to find it at DT McCall's. And they have 5 convenient locations, one near you. One of the things that I really love about this company is they have a policy that whenever possible, whenever they can make it happen, they try to buy products that are made and manufactured in Middle Tennessee. So, I mean, don't you want to do business with a company that is here in Middle Tennessee that does business with other companies in Middle Tennessee? So you keep your dollars local, not send them off to some big box store with a corporate headquarters in Delaware? Yeah, of course you want to do that. So why wouldn't you want to go to DT? Listen, I tell you what, you walk through my house, you're going to find all kinds of stuff that has been purchased at DT McCall's, and I have had a great experience every single time. If you want to find out where that DT McCall's is near you, just go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
TVA approve a rate hike on electricity. We'll have that story in today's Closing Money News. That's coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, we can add one more little layer to this RFK Jr. story. According to CNN and others, former President Donald Trump will be joined by a quote-unquote special guest at his rally in Arizona on Friday. This all sort of, puts to... Yeah, I wonder who that might be. I don't think it'll be Tay-Tay.
I can pretty much assure you it won't be.
It'll probably be Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I mean, that is the rumor that's been buzzing for some time now. They're playing coy because they want to have impact with the announcement. They want to let people believe that it's it's actually it might fall apart. It's not a done deal yet. It will make it bigger news when they finally announce it. But when you say you're going to be joined by a special guest, And all the speculation has been it's going to be Robert F. Kennedy who's going to withdraw from the race and endorse Donald Trump. And, I think it's all coming together. I mean, the word I heard earlier today is that people were in Phoenix who were plugged in 100% certain it was going to happen. So they may be playing coy with it, but that looks like it's now going to happen. This story, I think, is great news. We talk about the economy and we talk about high mortgage rates, and it really has just thrown home sales into some sort of, weird thing where nobody can afford to buy a home because they can't afford the high interest rates, and they've come down a little. And I think if the Feds make an announcement tomorrow, we probably will see a September rate cut. The question is it going to be a quarter point? Is it going to be a half point? And what will that do to interest rates for homes? And maybe that will spur a little growth once we start to see those things come down. But one thing is true. If you have a home, your value has not gone down. U.S. home sales edged up slightly in July. Prices are still near record highs. So maybe come down just a little, but not much. U.S. home sales rose slightly in July, ending a 4-month streak of declines. Prices remain near record highs at a time when the cost of housing has become a hot-button election issue. So it's hard to buy a home right now. And it's true that mortgage rates have fallen a little bit in recent weeks, and that may be having something to do with why, people are saying, well, I got to do something, so I'll take it and refinance in a few years when things get down lower. But the bottom line is, if you own a home, then you are still holding on to something that has great value. It hasn't gone down, which you think it might. If you can't sell a home, what do you got to do? You got to lower the price, right? So you would think that maybe the values of home would come down, but they haven't. That's good news. And I mean, you know what that really means is a lot of people are sitting on equity, a lot of equity. And so that's a good thing. And I got to tell you, I'm happy to know it. I got in at 5 and I thought, well, that's not great, but that was what was best was available at the time. So I got in at 5 and the thought is, right now we're probably at 6.5, 7. So it's got to come down quite a bit before I can, think about refinancing. But I mean, if you're sitting in a house with a 3% or 4% mortgage right now, you're sitting pretty because you've got a house that's worth something, and the value just goes up and up and up, and it doesn't seem to be impacted by the fact that interest rates are outrageously high. Still, it's not great. The housing market is not great, but it is going up a little bit. And all signs point to a rate cut to be announced. We'll probably get that news tomorrow. The Feds are in Jackson Hole, and apparently the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, is going to give a big speech tomorrow, and everybody's watching that real close. And we'll bring you whatever he has to say tomorrow on The Drive. It is 30 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock.
It's 6:30, and I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. It's still 82 degrees out there. That traffic report and weather forecast is coming up. News in Nashville, the Tennessee Valley Authority approved a 5.25% rate hike at today's meetings. TVA said this new 5.25% hike will add $4.35 to the average electric bill starting October 1st. According to the TVA, it needs the new revenue for infrastructure as the valley's population is growing 3 times the national average. The TVA is working to build a new natural gas plant in Cheatham County. And in money news, here's Dahlia Arbinger.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks slipped ahead of a speech by the head of the Fed. The Dow closed down 178 points. The S&P fell 50, and the Nasdaq slipped 300 points. The markets fell as Treasury yields increased the pressure in the bond market after some mixed reports on the economy. Investors are also tentative ahead of Friday's speech by Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell at the central bank's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Powell has signaled that the worst of inflation may be behind us and that the Fed could cut interest rates as soon as the September meeting. But so far, nothing is set in stone. The Labor Department says a number of Americans who filed for unemployment benefits last week rose by 4,000 to 232,000. First-time claims are considered a proxy for layoffs, and the numbers continue to be historically low. The average rate on a 30-year mortgage is down to 6.46%. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News.
You know, if you've got a plumbing problem, if you've got a problem with your air conditioning or your HVAC system, there's just one place you should call. The folks are at Busy Bee. You know what, as I often say, when you need heat or cold AC, call 775-7833. That's the number, 615-775-7833. And the folks over at Busy Bee will come over and take care of your problem. I mean, I call them for plumbing issues. They have helped me with a myriad of things. I call them for HVAC stuff. They installed a big 5-ton unit here in my house. I'm telling you, they're great, and I'm very pleased with them. And these AC units, these big HVAC rigs, they don't last forever. They do eventually wear out. Right now, and you just have a few more days to take advantage of this. If you purchase a new high-efficiency unit, you can register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, which is a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of your choice. Now, it must be in the service area of Busy Bee HVAC and Plumbing, but, there's a lot of schools to choose from. And then another thing that they're doing in their back-to-school theme for August, they can help you out if you buy a Beehive membership. Become a member of the Beehive Club like I am, then you can give a free membership to teachers in a school near you, or maybe a faculty member or a staff member of a school or a higher institution of education within the service area of Busy Bee. Again, it's got to be right here in Busy Bee, not out of region or out of state. Okay? There you go. A couple of options. So that's good. The plumbing, how about $300 off in the month of August for a tankless water heater conversion? You've been wanting one of those tankless systems. They're very quick. Hot water comes almost, within a second or so. It's amazing. $300 off. $500 off a main drain and main water line replacement. $500 off a home drain repipe. $700 off a home water line repipe. And then, how about this? HVAC services, $100 off home indoor air quality products. All happening during the month of August. 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We are doing our very best. We're doing our deep dig here to try to find out what this big surprise is in tonight's Democrat National Convention appearance. The story, the headline on Fox has it just exactly right. A lot of people are buzzing about something happening at the DNC tonight, but it's not about Kamala Harris. Which is, that's one thing. You bring on a superstar in the middle of your, now people are not talking about you, they're talking about the superstar, right? But now it appears the Hill says it's Beyonce. That's the buzz. It's Beyonce. Fox News says this. On Thursday, the final night of the Democrat National Convention, Vice President Kamala Harris will formally accept her party's nomination for president just a month after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. As the final night of the DNC kicks off, social media and newsrooms are abuzz with expectation, but it's not Harris everyone is talking about. Instead, it's who's tonight's rumored special guest will be. Now, music artist Pink was already scheduled to perform, as were the Chicks. Not surprising.
Formerly known as Dixie Chicks.
You can't say that anymore. But the DNC's programming reportedly has a gap for a surprise special guest. Beyonce and Taylor Swift are among the A-list names fans are speculating could make an appearance. Newsweek even floated the possibility of having both. Politico reported that the DNC's house band was rehearsing Beyonce songs earlier in the day.
Well,
I mean, you can't just go out there and do a Beyonce song without rehearsing. I don't know. Harris, who has never won a presidential primary, will have the opportunity tonight to establish herself and her candidacy after a whirlwind month since taking the top spot on the Democrat ticket. She's not yet sat down for media interviews or outlined specifics of her policy plans. A lot of this could be just a lot of nonsense because, what you do is you build buzz, you get online and, the Tay-Tay world, get them all revved up. All it takes is one or two little things out there on the internet, on the World Wide Web, and the Tay-Tay people just go crazy. So, people who would probably never watch the Democrat National Convention will watch tonight because, well, Tay-Tay may be there. It's the same thing that happened to the NFL. People who would never think about watching a Kansas City's game.
That's a good point.
We're watching them because, well, Tay-Tay, we might see a picture of Tay-Tay in one of the box suites.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. All the time. Maybe too much of it.
Yeah.
So, maybe they're doing all of this just to, create buzz, and then it's not that big a deal after all. But it sounds like something is up. Now the other big news, again, if you're just joining us or you're just getting into the car, is that it now seems almost certain that RFK. I mean, sources tell me it's a done deal, and so it now sounds like that RFK Jr. will appear with Donald Trump tomorrow. Donald Trump is now saying, his campaign is now saying they will have a special guest of their own. The thing about it is, the Democrats may have Tay-Tay or they may have Beyonce, but neither one of those people can give them 4 points in the polling data. RFK Jr. can give 4 or 5 points to Donald Trump by simply bowing out of the race and asking all of his followers to support Donald Trump. In exchange, I'm certain that RFK Jr. is going to get something in return if Trump wins. So those are the things that are sort of, burbling around. We will see, we'll know, tonight who the big guest is. I'm guessing Beyonce. Most of the sources are more leaning toward Beyonce than Tay-Tay.
Kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Does anybody really care? I don't know. I want to just end up my show here today talking about a thing that happened here in Middle Tennessee. If you missed it in the news earlier today, at several different schools, there were problems with lockdowns because of, I don't know, online chatter, weird stuff going on. Schools in Bellevue, Greenbrier, Watertown, and White County were reporting lockdowns because of a number of sort of ill-defined threats. Now, given that, we are the city that saw the horrible thing go down at the Covenant School, I think law enforcement agencies in this area have thought a lot about this. What we do, I think they've polished up their plans. They're very serious about making sure that everybody knows exactly what to do. The Metro Nashville Police Department, they did a great job. Once they got there, they did a tremendous job of eliminating the threat. And police organizations take anything like this extremely seriously. So even if it's sort of ill-defined, even if you think, this is just sort of this is some kind of crank deal, the bottom line is you can't know for sure. And you have to act out of an abundance of caution. So here's what Channel 4 said today. Law enforcement agencies placed several school districts on lockdown while they investigated threats on Thursday morning. Gower Elementary in Bellevue, all 3 schools in Greenbrier, every school here in my town, Watertown, and White County were locked down by police for various threats. In Greenbrier, students at the high school, middle school, and elementary school were locked down while the merits of a suicide threat were looked into. The investigation did not disrupt class, and no students were ever in danger, and the lockdown was lifted just before 10 a.m. Here in Watertown, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office was alerted to what they called as some alarming online chatter and went to the campus to investigate. As a precaution, all the schools were placed on a lockdown. Now, because I live in Watertown and because I got word of this, somebody called me and said, hey, do you know what's going on? A lot of parents are rushing to the schools because they're in a lockdown, fearing that there's going to be some kind of attack. I heard some rumor. This is definitely a rumor. I don't know that this ever got confirmed that, the rumor was they saw somebody walking near the elementary school with an AR-15. I don't know if that's true or not, but one way or the other, whatever it was caused a reaction. And so I got out and drove around and took a look at what was going on. And there was let's put it this way, a heavy police presence at the elementary school, at the middle school, at the high school. And I even noticed that we have a daycare at one of the local churches, and there was even someone there. So they took it really seriously, and I'm glad that they do. I mean, it's a shame that we have to find that that's going on. It's a shame that we even have to talk about it, but parents want to know this stuff. Parents have a right to know what's going on, and I think most of the schools were pretty good about communicating to the parents. It used to be, remember when we used to have snow days? And radio, you had to get up early in the morning and listen on the radio. And then, the radio stations would tell you whether school was going to be canceled or not. Nowadays, that information goes to the parents directly in the form of a text. And all the parents and the kids are all logged in. They get the text. So they know immediately, I'm not going to school today. And so nowadays, when something like this happens, it may start out that you got it so you know where you're going to school on snow day. But the bottom line is days like today, that stuff really works. It gets the information out there in a very quick way. Now, some parents apparently rushed to the school, I'm told, and wanted to get their kids and want to make sure everything was all right. And it was all right. Nothing has been found. White County school officials alerted the parents of Cassville Elementary School that the campus was locked down due to a police investigation. They carried out their lockdown protocols around 8:30. Police were investigating a nearby location, according to the district. The order was lifted a short time later. At Gower Elementary in Nashville, students were required to stay inside their respective classrooms. Officers came in, cleared the building, normal operations returned. Although the students were only allowed to move freely within the building, no visitors were permitted access to the campus. They also had a similar situation at Lockland Elementary. The school was placed on lockdown as the police cleared the building. So, again, what a sad state of affairs it is, ladies and gentlemen, that we have to do this. But I do love the fact that our police agencies are prepared for these things, that they've planned and they've practiced and they know exactly what to do. It's now muscle memory for them to respond in a certain way, and I'm glad that they do. It's just sad that we have to go through this kind of stuff. It is also, the thing about it is that I hate to even talk about it because the more publicity you get, the more of these things that happen. Cranks decide, I want to get out of school early today, something like that, and they think that by doing this, they're going to get out of school early. It just sort of causes them to replicate, but you can't not report it, just like the police have to take it very seriously. We need to let people know what's going on. There was a thing in Smyrna. Let's see, is that right? A bomb threat White County. A bomb threat caused an early dismissal at a White County middle school on Tuesday. And then they said, they sent a letter to all the parents saying, notified of a potential bomb threat, lockdown was initiated to allow deputies to investigate, and a student was detained. That's not going to work out well for that student. That's an automatic expulsion, I would imagine. So there's that going on. Well, anyway. Let's end on an upbeat note. Why don't we? Tennessee firms nab top spots on list of fastest growing private U.S. companies. So, we have some companies here in Tennessee that are just crushing it. Monogram Health came in number 3. A Brentwood-based home health company, Monogram Health, took the top spot as the fastest growing company in Tennessee, number 3 nationwide. That's pretty good. That's good. They provide evidence-based in-home care for patients living with multiple chronic conditions. Spartan Fitness Holdings, based in Brentwood, demonstrated a 3,616% 3-year growth. Wow. Number 200 on the list, PRS Global, a healthcare staffing company that recruits qualified international nurses to come to U.S. hospitals with a 2,002% 3-year growth. Lawn Value came in at 248. Daily Crunch came in at 270. It's a nut snack company. 50 minutes now past the hour. Once again, I got up this morning and stepped on the scale, as I do every morning, and once again, I got good news. I'm losing weight. And the folks at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa are helping me do it. You should let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your summer goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County, located in Lebanon, just off the interstate. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, Restoration Wellness Med Spa, to book a consultation today. Now, my friends, Carly and Jamie will take good care of you just like you're part of the family. You can be like me, be part of the more than 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa. These are customizable plans. They don't just take something off the shelf and apply it to everyone. They actually take time to find out what your needs are, to learn about your lifestyle, to come up with goals with you. So if your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest techniques in weight loss management. Go to restorationwellnessmedspa.com.